maybe Laura Loomer. And so she gets on the plane, and then Laura Loomer claims to a bunch of people in Palm Beach, all of her friends around in Miami, that she had performed
family friendly.
Huh?
Family friendly. Lewinsky.
I was gonna say.
Maybe that's why the left doesn't have it, because like no one would platform him. If there was some dude who fell from grace and was just like constantly going on their shows being like, oh, I've got some really salacious rumors for you, and they were just absolutely either sexist or racist nonsense, no one would bring him back. Oh, yeah, that rumor I think was put forth by Milo, someone who was cast astray from right-wing circles, and then he basically renounced his homosexuality, cast away his sodomy stone. He took it off, and then he basically threw it into the ocean, and then became roommates with his ex-husband, who we are to believe they were no longer having any kind of sexual contact with each other whatsoever. They were simply straight heterosexual roommates at that point, just boys being boys, doing what boys do, you know, playing video games, watching football, that kind of stuff. So after that, he became basically like a telemarketer style dude for a Christian shopping network. That was working out well. Tim Pool has started reintroducing him back into the ecosystem and back trying to you know, resuscitate his career. The funny thing about Milo, though, is that the guy has zero loyalty to any other right-winger and is just constantly a wild card wrecking ball because he's just so desperate for attention, right? Like, he'll just do anything to be relevant in any way, shape, or form. So every single time there's someone in the headline, he'll be like, I have insider knowledge that this happened. And I think he was the one who was like, I know firsthand that Laura Loomer, you know, sucked off Donald Trump. It happened in this time at this plane. Please interview me for more details. So don't trust anything he says. Don't know, you know, it's not as if you can take him as a reliable source. But I think that's where that came from.
There had course. I think even in this exchange, completely apropos of nothing, he drops in that, like, I, of course, don't have sex anymore. I can barely remember it. I definitely don't have any type of gay sex anymore because I'm obviously not gay anymore. I have converted to just a roommate relationship with my husband. And so with that said, here is Milo Yiannopoulos on with Tim Pool very recently, I guess, talking about how he removed Laura Loomer from the president's orbit.
Laura Loomer,
why was she brought in?
Of course, completely insane. And Laura was brought on into the campaign by Jason Miller, who is that sort of frog-faced, useless bag of.
Yes. This is the first time that straight people are allowed to be offended at his derogatory appearance towards straight people.
But Jason Miller and Boris Epstein, who's the head of Trump's legal team, these are the two guys who were kind of like, oh yeah, Laura Loomer, maybe Laura Loomer. And so she gets on the plane, and then Laura Loomer
Pause it. Now, I guess Milo was the one who sort of like helped nurture Laura Loomer back in the day. Laura Loomer also went on to change.
Tim Pool interviewing the Fire Festival. Oh man, that's fire. I can't take credit for that. Redolent thought.
Herself to Twitter like several years ago when she felt like she was being banned from it or either shadow banned. And this is clipped by Yiannopoulos himself, as far as I can tell. So just go.
Maybe Laura Loomer. And so she gets on the plane, and then Laura Loomer claims to a bunch of people in Palm Beach, all of her friends around in Miami, that she had performed
family friendly.
Huh?
Family friendly.
Lewinsky. I was going to say a sex act.
There you go.
She alleged this. She alleged to people she was spreading those.
I love you, and I try to take care of you. And do you know how difficult it is for me to talk like this on your show? Do you know how hard this is?
Members only show. Yeah,
I'll say
we'll go off.
Or whatever it is. You know, it's been so long since I had sex. I did it the wrong way. I did it like that. It's just completely wrong.
So pause it. And I love the credulity of everyone there. They all like.
He's still so fucking difficult to listen to. You know, it's just like, it's such a fucking performance every time.
I'm going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, right. Of course, you have not had any sex because you've sworn off sex because your husband's now your roommate. Right. Of course. Uh-huh. Right. No, I get it.
Mom, why did you do that to me?
way. I did it like that. It's just completely wrong. No, she claimed that she had performed a sex act on the president to a lot of her friends. And this, I was like, okay, all right, okay. So I got a call from somebody, and they said, we need to get rid of her. The president wants to get rid of her, but he doesn't want to be the one to do it because she's crazy. So we don't want her turning on the president because so many people follow, she's so many followers and everything. So my job was to bring things about Laura to light that made her ineligible to, be on the plane and around the president's circle. So, for instance,
pause it. Now, this also, I don't want this to slide by here. This is fascinating that he's given this job. Like, who paid him? Who was it?
He's like a Roger Stone figure.
Yeah, like, this is the thing is, like, I don't think we have this. Certainly not in our media. Like, we don't have... this is like what Posobiec was paid by Cernovich to dig up my tweets. Cernovich would pay Posobiec to do all this type of stuff back in the day, and then they sort of graduate up to other positions where they start hiring other people.
I was trying to think, is there just some wacko leftist ex-communicado member who runs around spreading salacious rumors about every other leftist? I don't think there is. There's a lot of why I left the left. And a lot of the why I left the left people will talk shit about, other people in the industry. But there's no one going on other people's shows being Sam Cedar talks a big game, but he was definitely sucking off so-and-so on this day and this happened. And, I hate to be the one to tell it to you, but I know it firsthand. I heard it. It's a story that's going around.
But who's funding them?
Remember that Semaphore article about how right when Kamala became the nominee, they were trying to recruit these low-level influencers to basically come up with
Well, they
all
weren't
this
being
content.
recruited. They were on the Semaphore article. They were on a Zoom with people who presumably were in this network getting offered 5, 10, 20 grand to put out stuff saying that Harris was a slut. And that's the one that George Santos didn't want to be in there. So this operation, whatever this is existing, and then they come in and fund it. Like, whose job who gave Milo this job? And I don't know if he means I didn't get paid to do it, or I just was assigned this idea. Who? This is the story that we don't have access to. And it's
Ethan Klein. I was like, no, because Ethan Klein is not spreading sexual rumors about Hassan, right? He's not oh, you know how he actually got his position at TYT? I got a story to tell you. I think that is a uniquely Milo thing, a uniquely yet true, but I think that's a uniquely Milo. Is the only he used to be a top tier Republican pundit, fell from grace, did the whole I renounced my homosexuality, I've changed, and I now have incredibly damaging sexual rumors about everyone. I can tell you all the secrets.
I don't know. It just lays there dormant. Good.
On the plane and around the president's circle. So, for instance, she's not Jewish. She made it up. A friend of mine was there when she did it. She ordered a Star of David necklace off the internet so that she could be ruder about Jews in a comment.
Well, I first thought he was just so coked out here. I thought he was just going fucking full bucking monster rails. But no, it was 125.
On stage at a rally in 2018.
Laura Loomer isn't Jewish?
She's not Jewish. She's the only person in history.
Wait, so what's
She's the only person in history. I submitted her for the Guinness Book of Records because she's the only person in history who's ever had a nose job to look more Jewish. It's the most amazing thing you've ever heard in your life. But I also
I've never heard that.
Just sounds racist, not amazing. Sounds like just weird shit that you again would do. This is another reason why any respectable media circuit would never entertain a dude like this. Maybe that's why the left doesn't have it. Because no one would platform him. If there was some dude who fell from grace and was just constantly going on their shows being oh, I've got some really salacious rumors for you, and they were just absolutely either sexist or racist nonsense, no one would bring him back. There wouldn't be a second appearance,
that about her before.
No, but she's not actually Jewish. When
She even ran for Congress, and that never came up.
right when she well, that's because I was a communications director. No, when
maybe did not a great job.
I'm sorry.
It sounds like things went sour with Laura, and you guys have a lot of bad blood, and you sank her as a result of that. Am I reading this right?
People do pay me a lot of money to clean up my own messes. I'm just realizing this now.
Yeah.
No, anyway. Anyway, so Laura is
He's definitely coked out. even at normal speed, he's definitely coked out.
when Laura was going to give a talk.
Pause it again. So he's being paid. Who is paying him? Who is paying him to take out Laura Loomer? How is this an industry amongst them? It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And there's no, like...
The interesting question for Tim to ask. On whose behalf?
Well, Tim probably knows. I mean, Tim doesn't know specifically, but again, my whole, and maybe we'll go back over this part of it later, but I pressed Tim on this license deal that he had with Tenet.
Yeah, that was great.
And like, why weren't you shocked that you were getting paid this amount of money? And he's like, hey, it's like business. Like, we do
It's
this amount of
comparable.
revenue. Like, I understand. This was a new show, though.
And he was also trying to push this lie to Sam that he had a competing offer of which he cannot disclose for reasons, but was just like, oh, no, we had a competing offer for roughly about the exact same amount. We went with them. And I was like, who? Who was your competing offer? Who was offering you over $100,000 per video to take content you already produced for an internet show from another channel to copy and paste it to send to them for $100,000 fucking dollars? Who? I'm not allowed to disclose that at this time. Why? That there's no context in which you would have had to sign a non-disclosure agreement for a potential competitor. Like you could tell me that you're unable to disclose the amount because you want to be able to preserve that information for like potential future negotiations. But you could definitely list that, oh, I had offers from other networks. The other networks were as follows. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're within the same financial ballpark, but yeah, I can't talk about it.
And then he claimed I had three other offers on the table. And this was a year and a half ago. And apparently those...
Who cares who gets high? Oh, I agree. Hey, you if you watch my program know that I'm not someone who disparages people who use drug use. I think it's more profoundly funny that it seems that he's very, very both high as fuck and revealing all this ridiculous information at the same time. That's what makes it funny, okay? Hey, like anything else, there's responsible, awesome, cool drug users, and then there's also terrifying miscreants of just the most dilapidated version, and that's what Milo is pretty much here. You know, it's the same thing with nerds. I happen to be a nerd, but I'm not an evil nerd. Elon Musk is an evil nerd, right? I think he's now the world's top Diablo 4 player ranked globally. Like, how do you have time to be, quote, the genius of the universe or whatever, run all these amazingly successful businesses and corporations and get, 300 or 400 times the average pay of every other one of your employees? And you also have time to just fucking do insane amounts of ketamine and play Diablo 4 so much that you now rank as the world's top Diablo 4 player. Both these things do not compute. You're either playing insane amounts of video games on drugs, or you are running your businesses like a super genius. But you can't be doing both at the same time. I feel like a lot of these corporations, they are being run by and managed by successful people that you've hired at one point or another. And so that really demonstrates that, yeah, you can have a very successful corporation, but do you deserve 300 or 400 times the pay of your employees when all you're really doing is sitting in a hotel room doing ketamine and playing Diablo 4 all night?
3 other offers never went away. They just stayed there. I mean, he was very cagey about that whole thing.
He's not going to ask because they're all subsidized to some degree, from the grimiest of the grimy to Milo Yiannopoulos to guys that are more frontward facing like Tim Pool. They're subsidized to some degree.
You can't be listening to this story and it not like go like, hey, wait, what? Particularly if you do what we do, unless it's like, oh yeah, that's par for the course. That doesn't even stand out in what he's saying. Go ahead.
David on the folder she was holding her speech in, the speech I'd just written for her, except it wasn't a Star of David, it was a pentagram. And I said, Laura, darling, can I have that folder back? And she's like, why? I'm on the way out. I got a speech to give. I said, yeah, I know you got a speech to give. I just wrote it. Can I just what? And I said, well, you've.
It's shit like this, by the way, that pisses me off so much, that like people who criticize Israel are the ones who are getting accused of anti-Semitism and being on the list of like, you know, anti-Semites of the year and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, in right-wing circles, there's not a single person in this room right now that is sitting there being like, that's kind of racist, though, really. Just this whole thing that you're accusing her of not being Jewish and that she got a nose job to become more Jewish. Like, that's profoundly racist. But no one's saying anything. They're all just laughing.
Written that she's like, yes, it's Jewish. It wants to be Jewish. I said, well, but it's a pentagram. I said, what do you mean it's a pentagram? I said, well, that's the Satanism thing. That's 5 stars. The Jewish star has 6 stars. And I had to draw on a whiteboard the difference and ask her to copy it, and she couldn't. She couldn't copy it.
Wow.
So, because there's no difference. It couldn't.
This is why a person like this can exist in right-wing circles. Just you heard a story like that. And instead of being like, bullshit, you're like, what? No way. She drew the pentagram. That's the sign of the devil. Oh.
Copy this. You shouldn't copy it. So this is the first clue. Thank you. This is the first clue I had something was wrong. Anyway, and the second thing that I released was that in addition to her
That's what sank her among Trump.
No, her count of a Jewish. What really sank her among Trump is he hates plastic surgery, and he wondered why she looked so weird. And when I told them it's because she'd had so many procedures, Trump is kind of like a bit repulsed by plastic surgery. That's the real thing that sunk her. But the other thing that I did that made her that expelled her from the circle. To the great applause and thanks of the campaign and his whole family, was that I revealed the real reason she can't own a gun. So Laura Loomer says that she can't own a gun or have an open carry license in California because the FBI is targeting her for being a conservative. But I have a letter from them, which I acquired, which in fact says it's because her own father had her committed in what we in California call a 5150, a forcible psych hold, twice. And that's why she's not allowed to own a gun, because she's mental. And so the headline was, why can't Laura Loomer own a gun? I asked the FBI, and her dad, Jeff. And I got her dad to I flipped her dad.
Oh my God. I can't believe
somebody just asked, was it snow?
Well, I was going to say, I can't believe that he got invited onto a show and the rest, like, Tim Pool's had Laura Loomer on his show. I assume, because she's one of those people who's hyper fixated on like Googling herself, that she's going to find out about this. Is she not going to be in any way upset and come on there and be like, why the fuck did you believe all of that really intensely racist and weird shit he was saying? Like,
I have completely lost all respect for Timcast. Tim Pool, after he allowed for the most defamatory and fake things to be spewed about me on his show last night. Zero pushback at all from Tim, and zero requests to see evidence of any of the disgusting and false claims made on his show last night. You cannot simply make up allegations like those that were spewed on the show and pass them off as real news. The allegations made about the Trump family and President Trump's staff are also completely fake, and I can prove it. It's funny how Tim cried when Kamala Harris defamed him and said how horrible it was that he was defamed, but then he allowed for a known pathological liar who has been accused of being pro-pedophilia and has been accused of having a major drug problem to come on his show and smear me with lies that are easily proven to be lies. It's outrageous. Tim should be ashamed of himself.
Surgery, although I find it hard to believe that he hasn't gotten plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But
and hair plugs, yes.
I just don't like it on other people. But the really relevant parts here,
once again, you know, a gender affirming care for me, but not for thee,
to me, are that there's money out there for Yiannopoulos to take out Loomer, which Tim Pool does not seem to in any way be even remotely surprised by. And they're the way that they all use identity as some type of shield at different times. Like, now Yiannopoulos apparently says that I think he found God. Is that why he converted his husband into a roommate?
Yeah.
Through some type of religious.
He found God? Found God in a rolled up dollar bill.
I mean, who knows? But the fact of the matter is, I mean, this is what's going on with them, and they are unleashed now. It is a field day, and they will start to climb all over each other. This is the one upshot about this. They're all going to be scrambling for power, and they're all going to be taking each other out. And we're going to be here to document it. But really, the real question is, and I will say this, look, if you work for any of the people that we have just talked about, and I know that there are people who work for the people we've just talked about, I'm not going to say whom, who watch this show. In fact, part of their job is to watch it when we talk about certain people. Send us an email. Go get a burner account if you have to, but send us an email and fill us in as to how much you know about who may have paid them at majorityreporters@gmail.com.
He's looking for insider tips, and they probably will respect their sources. So, yeah, go forth, everybody. Let the Majority Report know. Just do it anonymously. But that's pretty wild. I think, honestly, because, again, you can't believe a single thing that, Milo says, that there's probably little to no truth to any of it. But it is pretty funny that Tim Pool was willing to have him on to throw that much shade and not actually do any pushback whatsoever. In fact, if anything, it seemed like they were believing literally every single word. Just like, whoa, no way. Huh. I say this often, this is the best the Majority Report has ever been. The main reason is because Emma is a better fit than Michael, who I love, but would have had his own huge show by now. But yeah, it has never been better. I mean, and I wouldn't take anything away from Michael, but I think Emma is just an amazing new addition to it. And yeah, that's it's pretty damn funny just to come out of nowhere and hear that. Milo gave Tim some of his miracle workout powder. I don't know what was going on there. He was watching Gak to the Future. We're listening to Gak Street's Gak, all right?
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This independent series is made entirely possible thanks to our patrons. It was produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimongi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bohem, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, and Words Greenwood. Not to mention all the other patrons you now see on screen. We couldn't have done this show without you. If you can help support the show, please check out patreon.com/the Serfs to unlock bonus secret episodes as well as get the content before anyone else.